Boom. 20 bucks. 20 bucks. We're on the line for 20 bucks. Literally come playing, but nobody's paying. Hi guys, it's Jabor. Hi everybody, welcome to Mrs. Calabash Cooks. Come into my kitchen. You saw me on the phone. I was just putting a message on Facebook, both on my page and Mrs. Calabash. We've had trouble streaming live. I just wanted to let you know that we're now recording the show, and as soon as it's recorded, then we'll be up onto Facebook. We're live.
We're live.
Oh, we're live now. Things are happening. Hi, Kate. I'm glad you joined me. Now, it's Good Friday. A little bit dull outside, but at least it's not snowing now, which it was when I got up this morning. And the situation in the world isn't the happiest. So, we're going to put everything on one side. To me, Easter is a time of renewal. It's family time, which we can't have at the moment, but we can do face-to-face on Facebook and other ways of with the internet of keeping in touch with family. My family's scattered all over the world. My daughter is here in Canada. She's at Osgood, only half an hour away, but it could be the other side of the world at the moment. So it's a time for joy. It's a renewal. And I thought, well, we're not going to be able to have the normal family gathering for Easter, but we're not going to let it go by. I like to decorate the table, bring out the best china. You know, it's a festive occasion. And I did a very quick Easter egg. This, which you probably won't be able to see very well, this is a little Victorian Easter egg cup. And I just very quickly dyed an egg. It is a bit wobbly because I blew it. Now there's a story behind that. Every Easter we used to travel to see my grandparents in Norwich. And my granny was very artistic. Well, my grandfather was, he was an artist, but my granny could sew and do all sorts of things. And one Easter when I was very small, that little Easter egg cup, was on my breakfast plate. And there was a decorated Easter egg like this, and she'd taken the shell and brought the shell away, and there were some little tiny candies in there, some little tiny sweets, and I was absolutely enthralled. But when I picked the eggshell up, the egg folded very, very smallly, and it was a fortune to me in those days. There was a 10-shilling note in there as an Easter present, and I've kept that. Cup, that little Easter egg cup. It's a little Victorian Easter egg cup, and it's got a yellow finch at the bottom, some flowers, and a rustic fence. So it really is the epiphany of Easter, because to me that's the beginning of spring. So I'm thinking, right, we can't have the family. We don't want to spend a lot of time in the stores, so I was looking in the freezer to see what I could do to turn into an Easter meal. I'd got shrimps and I'd got frozen spinach and rice. So I thought, right, let's go. So this is a shrimp with soy ginger sauce. Hi, Eve. Eve's coming as well, lovely. And these are frozen shrimp, which I've defrosted and drained. Now, as I'm defrosting the shrimp, they don't have a lot of flavour. So I like to defrost them in cold water, and I put some salt. I dissolve some salt in the water, because in England they're they come out of the sea, so they've got a nice salty flavour. Hi, Francois. Good to see you. Hope the house is going well. It's been a bit dismal for you. So I'm just coating the shrimp, I'm just coating them in a little cornstarch. And that does two things. It's nice and crispy. And I read, and I don't know how true it is, that the cornstarch actually adds as a little bit of a marinade for when you're frying. So, and being a diabetic, it's healthier for me than flour. I can eat cornstarch, whereas I can't eat a lot of flour because the flour turns to sugar. Let's go back to the stove. I'm going to take my list with me and we'll talk about it as we go over. So come to the back with me. Come to the cow's bar, as the saying goes. Now, in here, I've got some melted butter. But I want a bit of a spicy to it, bit of a spicy. So in here, I've got one with olive oil, and this is just canola oil with dried peppers. And it gives a nice spicy flavour without it hitting you in the face. I'm using the canola oil today because I want to bring it up to a higher temperature than I would with an olive oil. So we're going to add a drop of that to it. And what you can do is, as it comes to the bottom, because then just add more oil to it. Wash my hands because that's a bit greasy. So we want to bring these, make sure the oil is nice and hot. Just put their hand over, like that. You can feel it once it starts to get warm. You don't want to add the shrimp to cold oil or butter because it just absorbs into the shrimp. You want it to be nice and crispy. So these are only going to take about 2 or 3 minutes to cook. This is a very, very quick, simple meal to get ready. Use a wok or a deep pan like this. We can always add a drop more oil if needed. I'm very carefully, as you can see, picking out the shrimp. And we don't want to overload the pan. No, we just about get all those in one go. I don't want to waste any. I love shrimp. And this is if you don't eat this on Easter Sunday, to me this is a Good Friday lunch. I'm a traditionalist. I always have to have fish on Good Friday. I have 2 things on Good Friday. One is hot cross buns, which I made yesterday, and you can see on Mrs. Calabash Cooks on Facebook. And the other one is I always have fish in some shape or form on Good Friday. Don't ask me why. Probably what I was brought up with. Actually, I remember, because Good Friday was never a holiday in England when I was growing up. I just want to put those over there. It was never a holiday, and my father had his stores, and he always worked on Good Friday. It wasn't even a half day off. And so Mum and I used to garden on Good Friday. And I remember it was always the time to plant potatoes. Regardless what time of the year it was, we planted potatoes on Good Friday. In Ireland it was Paddy's Day, but in England, when I was growing up, as a little girl in our family, it was on Good Friday. And a Good Friday in those days was a very sombre day. The BBC, there was beautiful church services. There we are. I've rather overdone the cornstarch. We had beautiful church services from Canterbury to Cathedral, But the music was always very sombre on Good Friday. And yes, but it's a time for rejoicing as well. So we want to just watch these like this. And once they turn pink, then they're cooked. And they'll turn themselves into a little tight knot. Let's just cook those like that. And so we're going to make the sauce, the ginger sauce. So here, and you see, we've got soy sauce, cider vinegar, green onions. Now, I couldn't get green onions when I went shopping. So I thought, right, I'm not going to go out shopping again in these circumstances just for some green onions. So I've used 2 tablespoons full of dried chives, some minced garlic, just a little sugar, just to take away the tartness, some ground ginger and a little pepper to taste. Now, I don't think you're going to need any salt in this because, of course, the soy sauce is quite salty. So we're going to put all these into a little bowl. And that's the garlic. And just whisk these together like that. That is really just to dissolve the sugar. Can you hear the dogs? The hounds of the Baskervilles. Something has started them howling upstairs in the bedroom. They're corralled. They would like to be down here. They're missing something. They think that they're being very hard done by. They'll quieten. There we are. Let's just turn this over like this. I was saying to Derek just before we came on air, Easter, we always visited my grandparents in Norwich. And it was only 150 miles away, but in those days it took about 5 hours to get there because the roads, especially in Lincolnshire, we had to go from Yorkshire through Lincolnshire into Norfolk. And the roads in Lincolnshire are like that. They're all like snakes. And we used to possibly get there late on a Saturday night because again Father was working half day on the Saturday, and so we'd go to Granny's, and the family, quite a few of the family used to meet there, my aunt and all her children, and sometimes my godfather and his wife would come from London, and so it was a nice family gathering. And Easter Sunday, the meal for Easter Sunday was a big platter, and I mean big. There was probably a couple, 2 or 3 big turkey dishes on the table full of crab. And the crab had been broken. There was the claws and the carp had been dressed, and that's the brown inside the shell. And these are big crabs. And sometimes there'd be a lobster in there. Not that often with lobster, but always a crab. There would be some shrimp, and there would be some winkles. Now, winkles are like little sea snails. And Derek's sort of went, ugh, because his father was from England and he loved winkles. And you eat winkles with salt. And I've still got mine, long winkle pins like that. And you just pull them out and eat them with some salt and bread and butter. And that was Sunday supper. Oh, I'm really missing some of those crabs. It was a delight. But when we lived in France, there was a big display in one of the store of crab, and I pointed to which one I wanted, and I wanted that one, obviously, you know, in the middle of everything. I wanted that one. And so when they went to get it, I didn't realise the crabs were alive and the whole of the display moved. And because in England the crabs were cooked, whereas they weren't in France. You bought them live, and it was rather nice. And when we were in the Vendée, which is another department of France, and we were camping, this is when Kate's dad was alive, and it was in the summer, but it was rather stormy, and we went in this little galette, which is like a buckwheat pancake, a galette and seafood restaurant, and there was this light bulb, no shade on it, just the light bulb hanging down, and it was swaying in the wind. And we ordered crab, and much to Norman's horror, it came on a plate with seaweed, and there was just a whole crab. And he said, and some pliers, nutcrackers. And he said, what do I do? I said, well, you take it to pieces and you dress it. He'd never dressed a crab, he'd only seen crab dressed. So I had to take it and dress it, and he kept saying, are you sure you can see? Because there's little bits that you have to pull out, which are poisonous. And he said, are you sure you can see in this light? Because the light kept going in and out. But yeah, and that was, they were fresh. They were just picked up and beautifully fresh. Rather nice. So these are cooked for the moment. We're going to keep these warm. We don't want to, they get tough if you overcook them. And so we've got this juice. I need a larger, oh, here we are. I'm being very correct at taking them out with the, there we are. Let's put these. I've got my toaster oven just switched on to warm, and we're going to keep them warm in there because they don't want to be cold when they're being served. And we're going to put the sauce in here whilst we cook the spinach. Look, they don't want to stay on. There we are. Let's just slip these into here, just to keep warm. You can put one plate on top of another, and that will keep them warm. So just bring this up to heat again, and then we're going to add all the nice sauce ingredients. There we are. And you see, let's see if I can show you. It has thickened a little with the cornstarch being in there. So we just want to cook out the cornstarch for a few minutes like that. And I'm going to add these back in there, coat, turn off my toasty oven. Just coat the shrimp like that. Ooh, look. I'm going to add a little, just a little pepper to that. No salt, just a little pepper. Like that. Coat it over again, and that is cooked. We're going to transfer, I'm going to put the lid on, keep it warm, transfer this over to the back, and just turn the burner down very, very low. And that will just keep those warm. In here, I've got a plain pan Now, I'm using frozen spinach today. I got it already in the freezer. I like spinach, I keep it in the freezer. And so that I have drained it, but there's just a little water from the spinach in there. And this, we just really need to reheat this. Let's scrape out, look, we don't want to waste any. Scrape out the bowl. Now, if you're using fresh spinach, get rid of all the, if you're not using a baby spinach, any of the tough bits, and just rinse the spinach in cold water and just bring it into the pan with the water that's clinging to the leaves. That will be plenty to cook it. And then just, it doesn't take many minutes to cook. And it's very, very good for you. I like spinach, it's very versatile. I make a lot of soups, and I have my immersion blender, and I add spinach to the soup. It's given us iron, it's given us all the goodness in the winter that we need. Add some lentils and some ginger to it, some stock. I use a chicken stock, but if you're vegetarian, then just use a vegetable stock. And I must confess, I use a bouillon. Sometimes if I've made stock, then I use that. And you have a really nice, substantial lunch, which is very, very quick. I'm going to taste that. I think that might need a little salt and pepper. Oops, I don't want all that. Definitely needs some salt and pepper. This is my Mrs. Calabash seasoning, 3 salt to 1 pepper. Let's taste that again. Remember, we're going to put some dressing on that, so we don't want it to be overly salty. I'm going to add just a little salt on its own. This is some sea salt, which I keep. I've got 1 for salt, 1 for pepper. There we are. That will do. Let's take this over to the butcher block. We'll come back for the shrimp. Let's take this over and put the dressing on there. Now, the dressing for this is lemon juice and olive oil. Just mix it together like that. Pour it on. Just stir that around, and that is the spinach. We're just going to put the top on that. I want to keep it warm whilst I bring the shrimp and the rice over. So let me go back and get the top. Can I carry this? Yes! Oh, the joy of my aluminum pans. I can actually carry them and lift them. And they're a dream to wash up. Now, I've cooked some rice. Only a little rice, because Derek doesn't eat rice. So, he will have it on noodles. So, you can make a choice with this dish. You can either serve over rice, like I'm doing today, and I've actually done a jasmine rice, a basmati rice today. I like basmati rice, and or noodles. It's entirely up to you. So just flake the rice. So I cook this in 1 cup of, there's 1 cup of rice here and 2 cups of water. I'll clean that up in a minute. And so I use, again, when you're cooking the rice, taste the water. Taste how salty it is, because that's how the rice is going to taste. If it's too salty, throw some away and start again. So I'm just going to put a little rice in the bottom there. The rest of the rice, we'll put it in here. I'm going to remove my egg cup because it's getting a little bit crowded. There we are. This is extra rice for serving. So this is 1 cup of basmati rice to 2 cups of water. And cold water, I rinse the rice a couple of times to take away the starch. Cold water, bring it up to the boil, turn down the heat and don't peep at it, and it will cook beautifully. Hi, now Doreen, my favourite cook. Happy Easter, Doreen. I'd love to see you. And Sam, hi Sam, long time no see. Oh, lovely. I like getting in touch with people. The internet's marvellous, isn't it? What did we do without it? It's made the world very, very small. As I say, my other daughter and grandchildren live in England, in various parts of England. My son lives in Chile. So it's marvellous just to be able to keep in touch with everyone. I need a little piece of kitchen paper to wipe down. There we are. And woohoo! We're going to put the shrimp on there, and I will have to very carefully remove the shrimp away from the rice for old finickety pants over there this evening. So all that lovely juice. Now that looks a little bit grey, a little bit brown. So, oh, sorry. I would normally have some nice green onions to put around there to add some colour. But as I say, I hadn't got any today. So I do actually have a little tomato. So let's see what we can do with a little tomato. Just to cheer. Lemon would be nice, but I haven't got any lemon in. And I used it the other day without thinking. So let's just put a little slices of tomato around, and that adds a little colour. We need a shrimp to hold that one up. Some more shrimp over there, and here we are. There we are. Oh, we can squeeze that bit in there. And now we're going to bring over we've got it here, the spinach. And the dressing is there, so it's nice and juicy. And that, everybody, is my idea of Easter Sunday lunch. Oops, I dropped a knife. There we are. We'll put that over there. Never put the knife in your washing up bowl because somebody could cut themselves. So there's a nice meal there. Don't forget, go to mrscalabashcooks.com and have a look for the quick dessert that I made on Tuesday evening. Team that up with this and you've got a nice Easter meal that didn't cost a fortune. You didn't spend hours in the kitchen. So please go to mrscalabashcooks.com, like and send it to a friend. And have a really happy Easter. I will see you on Tuesday. Not sure what I'm doing on Tuesday, but please keep safe, keep well, and thanks for watching. Bye guys, bye everybody. Have a great Easter. Bye.